Hi, it's Missy. I'm going to show you a tutorial today on how I take apart and make a new spine for a little golden book junk journal. I'm going to be working on the Nurse Nancy junk journal, but what I found when I started to take it apart, this one is from 1952, and apparently during that era, they didn't use staples in the spine. So I'm going to be working on this junk journal, but I'm going to show you on a different golden book how to take the staples out. This one was glued and sewn in, so I went ahead and took it apart. But for the video, I wanted to show you the spine with the staple. So I've already did a little bit of pre-work on this one. What you're going to do is just take your fingernail and find the staples in the spine. And then I took a little knife and cut where I felt the staples on both sides. And then I just took a little screwdriver and pulled those staple ends straight up so they can be pulled out. I don't know if you can see that in the video, but the staples are there and they are sticking straight up. So then I'm just going to flip it back over and just take a little, any kind of pliers, or you can use your screwdriver and just pull those staples out. Like so. Definitely not easy to get out. That one broke off, so we'll try to get this other part out here. Okay. So from that point, just pull the book apart. And then your signatures should come out fairly easily. So then you have your book opened up like this. So what I do is I save this small part of the spine. A lot of people cut off the book here and they get rid of this middle section, and then that makes your pages too long when you go to put the book back together. So if you save that part of the spine, then you don't have to fold your pages or cut your pages. You can leave them intact. So back to the Nurse Nancy book here. This one, I've already got the book taken apart. Like I said, this one was glued and had some stitching in it. So I'm just going to set the pages aside for now. And then we're just going to cut the book apart here. It's just a little piece of paper holding it together at this point. Okay. Do a little more trimming on that. All right, so this is what you're left with here. So in order to make a new spine, I just took some chipboard, any kind of thick, heavy cardboard will work. And I cut a piece 2.5 inches. That's typically the size I like to work with, roughly 2.5 inches. And then I cut a couple smaller pieces, and these are just about 1 inch or so, close to it. And I use these to reinforce the bend here in the small part of the spine. So what we're going to do is just glue those down to reinforce that part of the book so that it doesn't bend at that point. I'm just using some fabric glue. You can use tacky glue or pretty much any kind of glue. On the edge there. And this is all going to be covered with fabric, so it doesn't have to be pretty at this point. You're just reinforcing those small parts of the original spine. Okay. All right. So in order to bind the new spine together, what I use is it's a material called Tyvek, and it comes priority mail labels or envelopes, I'm sorry, are made of this Tyvek. So you can just pick up some of those, or you can order some off of Amazon. And so I just cut a piece of Tyvek that's just a little larger, than what's my new spine is going to be. So I'm just going to lay this out, and you want just a little bit of room, a little bit of a crease there so your book can open, and just glue this Tyvek down. Now you don't have to use Tyvek. You can, at this point, the material that you're going to use on your book spine, you can go ahead and just use that. I just prefer to use the Tyvek and then material on top of the Tyvek just for added strength. And I probably use way too much glue, but I just want to make sure that this sticks really well. Another thing that the Tyvek helps with is when you go to put your material down, if you use a light colored material, this brown could show through, and the white Tyvek just helps cover that brown. Okay, so we're just gonna line this up best you can. There we go. And we can move it around a little more once we get this material on there. Okay. And I just use this is actually a Pampered Chef scraper. It works really well. You can use a credit card or the bone scrapers, just something to spread that glue around. Make sure you get a good contact here. And I've got extra glue coming out because I did use way too much glue. That's okay. All right. So let's see if we can turn this over. Let's look around here. Make sure we still got enough of a gap. Okay, and we'll trim extra off later. That's not important at this point. So then that adds your 2.5 inch spine, and then you've kept the original spine. And you're just putting it all together. Okay. And then just push this down into those creases a little. Because that is now where your book is going to fold. Like so. Okay. So over the next several minutes, I'll just continue to make sure that this is pushed down. I'll bend it a few times to make sure that it's going to bend the way I want. And then you're going to want to let this dry probably overnight before we move on to the next step. Okay. All right, so that is how I add a new spine to a little golden book. And I'll do a part 2 video to show you how I add the fabric, how I put the holes in the spine to sew in the signatures. So there we go. Thank you for watching.